Hey everyone, Dan here, and I have started to do a rewatch of all the Marvel movies, the MCU, the entire Infinity Saga, and I'm going to do it in chronological order. So instead of starting with Iron Man and go through, Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, that way, I'm going to actually go with the movies as they take place chronologically, as explains chronological order. And that means it starts with Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, I know some people say we got to start with Thor and some of the older stuff there. I'm not going to jump around and go 5 minutes in this movie and then 10 minutes in this movie and then back and forth. I'm going to go with what the bulk of the movie is. And in this case, the bulk of Captain America, the First Avenger, takes place first in the Marvel, in the MCU. So that's where I started. Now, this is a fascinating movie for a couple different reasons. First off, they handed the reins to Joe Johnston. Now, not a lot of people know Joe Johnston. He's not really a household name when it comes to directors, but he had a great pedigree going into it. He had done the movie Hidalgo with Viggo Mortensen. He had done the original Rocketeer movie with Billy Campbell. He had also done Jurassic Park 3 and he had just done the Wolfman remake with Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins, who both ended up joining the MCU after that. Or I guess Hopkins was already in the MCU at this point because Thor came out before Captain America. But anyway, so they bring in Joe Johnston to direct it, and they get Chris Evans to be Captain America. Now that seems like an amazing, perfect casting now, but at the time, Evans had already been in 3 comic book movies. He had been in the Fantastic Four movies as Johnny Storm. He had also been in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And he had been in The Losers, which was a Vertigo comic movie with Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and a bunch of other people. And it was a really good movie. It was fun to watch, but you don't look at the Chris Evans from those movies and think, yes, patriotic icon, of course. It was kind of a weird casting. And we know that they had also been looking at John Krasinski as a possible Captain America. So it's kind of interesting that they went with Chris Evans. Now, one of the main reasons this movie worked is actually the CGI. Because this would never have worked if we had just started with Chris Evans as Chris Evans. We had to start with the frail, weak Chris Evans and end up with the big buff Chris Evans, or we wouldn't have been able to follow him. Because if you start off with a big buff heroic figure and you try to get everybody to, Captain America is not the most sympathetic character from a point of view of nation building. I mean, if you're in England or China or any of these other countries where Disney wants, or at the time Marvel Studios, wants these movies to play big, Captain America is not the biggest selling point, the best selling point. He wasn't that popular, and he's such a national figure that it would be hard to see him being successful in these other countries. But you change it, you take this small, frail guy, and you show that he's got the heart and courage of a hero, but his body's working against him, his size is working against him, and you get to know him, and you get to know his ability just to never give up, and that I can do this all day thing. That's what makes Captain America a hero, and we get to see that in the frail version. And if that frail version wasn't believable, the whole movie would have failed. But it was so good that when you watched him running and just struggling to make it through under the barbed wire and to climb over the rope wall and just keep up with everybody else, it was so painful to watch, and you just wanted to sit him down and go, look, it's okay not to struggle at this point. That when it comes time and he gets the super soldier serum that Erskine gives him, it almost looks like the real Chris Evans is the CGI, because you buy into the frail, weak version. So when they open those metal doors on the cylinder that he's in, when they're hitting him with the beam, the light, it looks like he's fake. He looks overly puffed up. Now, we know that Chris Evans worked out like crazy to get that body, but it's such a dramatic shift that it looks like that's the fake part. And then we see him in action going after the spy, the Hydra spy. So that works so well, and that's what makes this movie work. Chris Evans acting, the believability of him being the courageous hero, even when he doesn't have the body to do it, and then you buy it when he has the body. You buy that he's that hero, and he never loses that. He never becomes cocky. He never becomes arrogant. He never becomes, for lack of a better term, Thor or Tony Stark. He's still that humble kid from Brooklyn. And that's what makes this movie work. Now, Chris Evans nails it. I mean, that's just hands down. And we see that all the way through all the movies he's in, up to even Endgame, where we see his end. You know, we see him become old and give the shield to Sam. And we get to see an amazing story arc that Chris Evans gives us. But the rest of the cast in this movie, they're mostly not household names, but they're damn good actors. I mean, yes, Tommy Lee Jones is a big name. He headlines movies, Men in Black, The Fugitive. I mean, the guy is bank. You put Tommy Lee Jones in your movie, and you know it's going to be good. But you look at everybody else in the movie, you get Hugo Weaving, who's from the Lord of the Rings and the Matrix series. Great villain. He's amazing as the Red Skull. I mean, he is as fierce as intimidating in the regular look than when he pulls off the mask and he's the Red Skull. I mean, he's just as intimidating. The whole scene where he's looking at the Nazis and counting them and figuring out where they're standing because he's about to kill them all, but he's so calm and cool and just, yes, oh yeah, you, okay, got it, I'm going to kill you. And at that moment, he is turning on the Third Reich. He is literally turning on Hitler and making Hitler his enemy at that moment. So not only is he's taking on the world at that moment. And that is just so cool and calm that he's a great villain. And he's one of the better villains in the MCU, which makes it sad that he's never come back. And even that they, I think it's Ross Marquand or something to that effect, that replaced him in Infinity War and Endgame. But he's such a strong villain that I would love to see more with him. Now, the rest, besides them, you get Toby Jones and Stanley Tucci, who are amazing actors. We've seen them in so many things, but they're the type of guys that you look at and you go, oh, he's from that. He was in this movie. He was Truman Capote. He was, yeah, because you don't think about these guys. The names don't pop in your head immediately. And then there was a lot of lesser-known actors like Dominic Cooper and Haley Atwell, who now we know is Agent Carter, and we love Haley Atwell. And Dominic Cooper, has really taken off and done a bunch of other stuff like Preacher. But at the time, we really didn't know him that well. And the guys they got to play the Howling Commandos and bringing in Sebastian Stan to play Bucky, all great casting. But this movie hinged on Chris Evans and Hugo Weaving. I mean, as much as I love Tommy Lee Jones, his role wasn't crucial, and I think they could have gone a different direction and still been okay. But you got Tommy Lee Jones, so excellent. And some of the delivery lines were perfect because it was Tommy Lee Jones. Like, I ain't gonna kiss you, or the what was it after the grenade? He says he's still skinny. It's just great, and Tommy Lee Jones brings that home. The pace of the movie is dead on, but basically it's Marvel's war movie, which, if you think about what they did, was they took a sci-fi movie in Iron Man, an epic fantasy in Thor, a monster movie in Hulk, and a war movie in Captain America: The First Avenger, and merged them all together into the Avengers. And it worked. That's just mind-blowing if you think about it, because if you told people that's what you're going to do, they would look at you very funny. If Kevin Feige said, yeah, it's going to be blockbuster, we're going to make hand over fist, you'd be like, it's never going to work. And you can tell because no one else is able to do this. Universal's Dark Universe, not so much. DC Comics, not so much. What Kevin Feige has done is take the right director and the right actors at the right time, put them together in tight scripts, and created a universe that is just phenomenal overall. I mean, 23 movies and growing. So, going back, focusing back on Captain America: The First Avenger, it's a strong movie. It's a war movie, and you really come out of it with that patriotic feeling, like when you walk out of Rocky and you just want to run upstairs and put your hands up like he did when he ran up the stairs, or when you walk out of Superman and you want to fly, or you have that moment at the end of Captain America where it's just yeah, and it was nice seeing Samuel L. Jackson at the end, but it was all Chris Evans and Hugo Weaving, and they did an amazing job. Um, that's pretty much my review of this movie after what, 9 years since it's been out. I remember seeing it in the theater and loving it then, and it still holds up. Um, Even the costume worked. I mean, they made the original costume, the comic book accurate costume, work. They got the shield, the old shield, the new shield. I mean, it was really well done. It was a lot of fan service mixed in that didn't feel like fan service. Those beats, those moments that we could really, the diehard fans that grew up with Captain America, get those moments. But the fans who never knew who Captain America was and sat there still enjoyed the movie without feeling like there was inside jokes they were missing. And that's what's amazing, and why it's another reason why it's a really good movie. Um, okay, that's going to wrap this one up. I will be doing Captain Marvel next. She's next in the chronological order, and then I'll go on to Iron Man and down the line. So stay tuned for those. I'll be posting all of them as I finish them up. And please hit the subscribe button and the notifications so you'll know when the next one comes up. And like and share, please. Again, anything to help build this site. I'd like to get more viewers. So if you could help with that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you all very much. Have a great weekend.